Back for the first time since 2011, we've got a classic Nike Foamposite Pro. Although 2011, is that considered a classic? I suppose. Hey, what's going on, guys? My name's Chris. Welcome back to the official WearTesters.com YouTube channel. Today we got a detailed look and breakdown on these bad boys right here. This is the Nike Air Foamposite Pro in the very popular pine green colorway. This is, to me, just a really cool look. This actually is the Green Goblin colorway when we saw Spider-Man 1, like the Toby ones. Even though this is not what the Green Goblin was wearing, but this is the color. He's wearing Foamposites in this specific color, which were actually not an original Foamposite colorway, which is so weird. But that's neither here nor there. These guys right here originally debuted way back in 2011, and they are back again as a retro or a re-retro. Well, I mean, you know what I mean. I don't think people will get confused. So let me backtrack that. These are retros. The original shoe came out way back in 1997. Every new version of the shoe is considered a retro past its manufacturing discontinuation, right? Like when things get discontinued, no longer in circulation or production, but then they get brought back. That's a retro. Funny enough, the Nike Air Foamposite Pro has been retroed or re-released or brought back like before, like this whole thing was like super popular, you know what I mean? It was within the 99-2000 time frame, with its first official retro release being in 2001. And that was the Varsity Royals, the ones that kind of look like the Royal Foamposites, but they had a black bottom instead of a translucent one, and then obviously the swoosh and no penny logos. Speaking of which, the sneakers copywriters are back at it again. These guys, they got to stop copy and pasting. When you go onto sneakers, this shoe right here is listed as upcoming. And when you click on it, there's a nice little description there that's supposed to get you kind of like excited for the release. It's supposed to teach you a little bit of something. And instead, they're going to confuse a load of people that don't know anything. I mean, right off the bat, the very first line gets things wrong. Step into the history books with the Air Foamposite 1. This is the Pro. Rare, classic, and way ahead of its time. It's a testament to Penny Hardaway. Guys, we already know the drill. Yes, the Nike Air Foamposite 1 was Penny Hardaway's official signature sneaker. It was released in between the Nike Air Penny 2 and 3. However, the model itself, or the Foamposite model itself, was originally intended for one Scottie Pippen. Penny saw the shoe first, decided that he wanted to take claim for it. And since Penny already had a signature series, they decided to just kind of squeeze it in the middle right there. And that's how we got the Air Foamposite 1. Now, Pippen never actually wore this shoe, to my knowledge, in-game, on court, at least not on an NBA floor. I could be wrong, but I don't remember seeing him wear these ever. Even though certain product descriptions and magazine like ads or promos and stuff like that did use him as the advertising, like, what would you call it, marquee athlete, even though they weren't actually his shoe at that point. However, some people have asked in the comment section, especially recently with the last Foamposite, I think it was the Pearls, they were just like, why wouldn't Pip wear that shoe and endorse it and things like that? And I just believe that it was maybe a timing thing. I don't know this for a fact. It's just something that I can only like guess on. But that whole time frame, that 97 time frame, man, that's when the Pip 1s came out, the official signature shoe of Scottie Pippen. And with that signature shoe deal, you would assume that he would get a more lucrative royalty agreement. I don't know if he did. I know that he's been screwed out of many contracts, as we found out way back in 2020 with The Last Dance. But you would think that he'd get paid a little bit more per sale of the Pippen 1 than something like this, the Foamposite Pro, because one says Pippen and one doesn't. That's just my main guess. Plus, if it was me, I'd be more excited to wear my own signature shoe than a team shoe. Just saying. Not saying that these are a takedown, because they're not. They're tech for tech, the same as the Foamposite 1s, which does have a different outsole, but both shoes do feature herringbone. This one's just done up in more of a segmented form, so you've got herringbone traction pods instead of just full-length herringbone on there. Still have a translucent sole, ginormous green swoosh on the bottom. You can see the carbon fiber shank poking through. That's not just a torsion plate, but it's also a spring plate. Moving on up, you can't see it, but there's an internal midsole. It is double lasted, so that means that it's inside the upper, making your foot clamp down onto the midsole a little bit more securely than it would in a more traditional setup where the midsole is exposed and the upper is placed on top of it. However, within the midsole, there's a full-length Zoom Air unit. In the heel, there is an additional Zoom Air unit, so right there in the back, it's double stacked. Fun stuff. This is the insole. It's pretty standard for a Foamposite. I don't think that it's anything crazy in terms of I don't think that it's anything bad. I think that inside this shoe, it all works. Now, going back to the upper, it is a Foamposite material, which basically means that it's a polyurethane build. So this is like something super interesting. I was thinking about this the other day. I was just thinking like it's weird that polyurethane midsoles and insoles crumble, but Foamposites don't. the glue that holds the whole shoe together, that'll fail before the upper ever does. To be honest, I never even seen an upper of a Foamposite fail at all. It was just a weird thought. If somebody knows, please let me know down below in the comment section. But either way, the upper starts off as a liquid and then they pour it into an upside down mold, which is super unique. Even to this day, they don't really like do anything like this. Like this is one of the most unique basketball sneakers or just sneakers in general in all of footwear.
That's high praise.
The upper itself does feature that really cool Green Goblin vibe with that iridescent green look. When it shifts, it does have a slight purplish hue to it. This is just a dope ass colorway. However, it's not my favorite Foamposite Pro colorway, and with the Foamposite Pros being back in circulation, I would argue that we deserve better. Not that this isn't good, it's just that there's so many cool colorways that haven't been seen since forever that I would like to see. I'm gonna list 3 and then I want you to continue. The first one that I'd like to see back is the UNCs. I think that those are just gorgeous. The second one is the red and blacks, or black and reds, whatever it is that you want to call it. The Breadposits, they're fucking awesome. And then lastly, a more simplistic approach, but the Doom colorway that's just basically black and white. I think that those are sick, bro. They just are. But there are so many great Foamposite Pro colorways that I think need to come back that haven't yet. So if you have a list of any, sound off below and let me know. There's still the internal booty sleeve, pretty much standard for any Foamposite release at this point. And I'm not just talking about the Pros or the ones. If we talk about like the Half Cents and things like that, the Flightposits, they all have something very similar as far as their internal build and structure. And in terms of sizing, they do fit true to size, so whatever you typically wear, that is exactly what I would order. I hear that wide footers like to go up in Foamposites, but I'm not a wide footer, so I can't vouch for that. All I know is that I go true to size and they fit me perfectly, especially after they break in. If you're local here to the Sacramento or Elk Grove area, they will be available over at Phenom at both locations. And if you wanted to find out what the release procedures are going to be like, all you got to do is follow them on social media over at Instagram, simply at Phenom Global. And with that being said, can I just say that this hoodie is fire? We are working on these for those of you guys that want them. The tee was a little bit different. It was just something that I made for myself to go on like press trips and stuff like that and just wear it and, you know, be like, I'm from WearTesters. And so it was just a basic black tee with a graphic on it, which basically is like a iron-on print. This is embroidered. We also have a second tee that is same thing, where it's a black tee with the embroidery logo right here. And that's what we'll be making available for anybody that wants to purchase. We don't have dates yet, but they are coming. So stay tuned. We've got a bunch of stuff getting sampled right now for Synths, and this is part of it. With that being said, what is today's viewer submitted question of the day?
Once upon a time, the NBA had a short sleeve jersey.
Yeah, let's forget about that.
Would you prefer to play in the sleeveless jerseys or with sleeves? And what other stuff do you wear while playing? Compression shirts, pants, knee braces, etc.
Well, things have evolved for me over the years, but you know, like nowadays I wear a cut sleeve compression base layer just to keep things in place. Although I've lost a lot of weight, so like I don't really need it anymore, but it feels comfortable for me, so I do like wearing them. Plus it keeps as much moisture off the main layer that I'm wearing, which is definitely needed because I sweat like crazy. As far as like my top layer, it's usually just a kind of like baggy t-shirt, like short sleeve or long sleeve. I'll play them both. Usually if I'm wearing a long sleeve, I will roll the sleeves up eventually because of all the sweat and everything. But yeah, if it's cold, long sleeve. If it's warm, short sleeve. As far as those jerseys specifically, I didn't like them, and neither did most people or most players. Not because of the sleeves themselves. Most of us do wear sleeves and stuff like that. It was just that it was a compression. You didn't have a choice. Like it was like tight on you. I remember like Iggy and stuff, like we're Warrior fans, like where he'd be like stretching that whole thing out because it was uncomfortable for him. He couldn't move his shoulders and all that stuff. Same thing with Steph. They didn't love it. So yeah, I don't think that wearing a jersey with a compression short sleeve is bad. That's what we see players do currently. It's just that they get a pick usually like what their base layer is. So it's like more comfortable for them. Unless they're in the league, then they do have to wear specific like the Nike stuff and all of that. But I just didn't like those things. And who wants to, they only made those to like try to boost sales. They thought that people would rather wear a sleeve shirt than a tank shirt.
I can understand. There are probably like people wear football jerseys, hockey jerseys.
That was exactly the concept, but those have a style to them.
Yes.
They have a swag to them. The NBA ones didn't. But anyways, what about you? Sound off below. Let us know. On top of all of that, what do you think about the Nike Air Foamposite Pro coming back in the pine green colorway? Don't forget to list your colorways that you would like to see return as a Foamposite Pro. Thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you so much for watching. We'll catch you guys in the next one. So until then, you guys have a good one.